Welcome to the cast. Today I'm going to be talking about Freddy Krueger. It's about time I talk about an iconic slasher villain. I mean, what'd I do before this? Nemesis, The Thing, and The Mist if you count that. Anyway, before Freddy was a bear, he was a serial killer turned burn victim, then supernatural serial killer. I feel like I don't have to explain who he is in detail because he's just that iconic. I'm sure you've seen a movie in the Elm Street series. If you haven't, you had to have at least heard the song. Sometime after Freddy vs. Jason and the shitload of money that was made there, the lizards at Hollywood used their lightning powers to erect a reboot of Friday the 13th, a movie I haven't watched yet, and a remake of the first Elm Street movie, which I have watched. Oh boy. The remake, commonly referred to as the Michael Bay one because he produced it, is... I'm not gonna beat around the bush here, it sucks. It isn't as engaging as the original. There are a few things to like about it, or maybe just the one or two. Bear with me here. I'm gonna try to make sense of it and compare the two versions of the story. Fucking yippee. It makes sense to start out with Nancy, because why the hell not? She's the pro-tag after all. Even if she isn't the first face we see, but we'll get to her in a bit. With many slashers, there isn't a lot to digest with the characters, but I'll do what I can. I had to go to the wiki for some of this since the movie doesn't tell me much. And if it did, I don't remember everything, so... whatever. Nancy is a high school senior. Her dad is a cop, and her mother is a fucking alcoholic. Some of her friends are terrorized by Freddy until they beat him. That's all we get in the original. And to be honest, I don't really care. I mean, she's fleshed out more in the next two movies. She dies in 3. When it comes to the first, we don't need to know every little thing about her. I don't care if she has some kind of trauma before Freddy, or where she goes with her girlfriends during the day. I don't care what she does at night when everyone's asleep. I couldn't give more of a shit. We just get a peek into her day-to-day life before it all goes awry. She looks like a teen from the 80s. Acts like one, dresses like one, whatever. She's a teen girl from the 80s. That's all people needed back then. Nowadays, we gotta give every character a backstory because, I don't know, you gotta fill up a fucking character encyclopedia. Even if they show up for like a solid 10 seconds. Wait, you're telling me that's what happened with Nancy? Dude. Yeah, in the remake, she's a quirky artist who works with charcoal. Let me just say, if you work with charcoal and enjoy it, you're a fucking maniac. That shit gets everywhere, and it'll muck up your feet. Maybe that's why you couldn't fit in. Charcoal hate aside, it's made with human hands at least. Okay, I could just check off the anti-AI art box and the buzzword attention-grabbing checklist. Flying through these, holy shit. Anyhow, she's a key player into why Freddy becomes what he is. All I'll say for the people who don't know, or remember, or care, is that she was left traumatized by him. There's also a moment in the car later where she dumps to Quinn as they make their way to the preschool where all the kids went, coincidentally enough. She says that she's an outcast and that she's misunderstood, blah blah blah.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't exactly fit in.
But it doesn't come off as such. She has friends, and people aren't quick to judge her in the movie. So what, are we just breaking balls for the sake of character development? With like a little over 20 minutes left? Whatever, I don't give a shit. Nancy's boyfriend, love interest, I don't know what the fuck he is. And to be frank, he's a squirrel looking for a nut. Anyway, Glenn, played by Johnny Depp, Mr. Mega Pint himself, in his first ever major film role. If you don't know who this guy is, you're a fucking liar, because you've seen him before. Also, he's this guy in Freddy's Dead, who does the whole, this is your brain on drugs ordeal. Anyway, Glenn doesn't have much known about him, other than he's a bit of a sleepyhead. Nancy should have dated an insomniac. I don't know why she relies on him when he keeps screwing up. Doesn't matter, though. Freddy gets him either way, and he becomes a geyser of blood. Like, look at this shit. In the remake, his name changes to Quentin, and he's also a bit of a dorky guy, while Nancy is better in the original. I do prefer Quentin over Glenn. He has more to do in the movie, and he actually wakes up Nancy when she's struggling. He's on the swim team, and during a meet he sees what happened to Freddy. That's something, I guess. He fights with his dad, Clancy Brown, about Freddy. Oh yeah, he also makes it to the end, so he can show up and watch Kevin Bacon's daughter light herself on fire. In the original, we don't start with Nancy, despite her being the final girl. Instead, we start off with Tina. All the movie tells us is that her father left her 10 years before the events of the film, and her mother went to Vegas with her boyfriend. She encounters Freddy, and becomes his first victim after he became the Dream Demon. Her death in the original is fucking haunting. I know it's supposed to be Freddy lifting her up and flinging her around, but we're looking at it through Rod's perspective, and it doesn't look anything like a person's lifting her up. It's very unnatural. The music being this chaotic synth doesn't help alleviate the scene either. As a whole, it's a great way to show that Freddy is a threat, but this isn't the Freddy section, so you gotta wait for that. She then appears in Nancy's dream in a body bag, similar to the one she saw on the news. She's never seen after that. Actually, that's a lie. She and the other kids are back in the end, but that's for sure a Freddy dream. In the remake, her name is changed to Chrissy. Fuck off, I'm not making that joke. We don't get to know anything about her, to be honest. All we can gather was that she, along with many other kids her age, including Nancy, Quentin, and everyone else, went to this preschool, even though they all thought they met each other in high school.
Jesus, that is me. But I don't know how I'm in that picture. I didn't meet Dean until high school.
She encounters Freddy in brief sleep episodes the movie introduces, micro-sleeps. They occurred in the original, but the main focus was, the kids dreaming. Here, the kids experience these more than they do basic dreams. Like in the original, Chrissy as Rod, Jesse, spend the night with her after they find out they both share the same dream. Also, like the original, she dies, but when she flies around the room, it looks like when Freddy played pinball with Jason. It feels too clean, if that makes sense. And I don't mean because there's less blood in the scene. It doesn't have that raw edge the original had. I could say the same for the most of the kills in the remake. She also appears in a body bag dream thing, but Nancy never saw her in a body bag before this, so it doesn't make sense as to why she'd see it here. I don't care if Freddy's that powerful. I feel like they did that because the original did it. Not that it matters, but she drives a Volkswagen. There's also Rod, who's this grifter type, and is Tina's boyfriend in the movie. And they aren't the best to be around when, they're fucking. I honestly don't blame Glenn for being a hater. Like I said, he watches Tina die and is mistaken by everyone that he's the killer, which gets him arrested. Nancy does visit him in jail, which is when she finds out that their dreams are connected. He is then hung by Freddy with a bedsheet. In the remake, like I mentioned before, he's now Jesse. He's just another kid who goes to the school, and he's a terrible gaslighter.
Jesse, you have to believe me.
Chris, it was late, and you were scared. Your mind was just playing tricks on you.
I believe you. I saw.
You didn't see anything. You weren't right there. Chris was. She's already fucked up, so leave her alone.
He sees Chrissy die, and instead of climbing out the window, like he did going in, he runs out the front door, tripping the alarm. You went in through the window, which meant you had to have known about the alarm. Why go out the front door? Especially when you're covered in your ex's blood. I think they're broken up, I don't entirely remember. Like in the original, he goes to prison, and Freddy gets him, this time by clawing his chest out. I think it's funny to mention that while he's in jail, nobody really visits him, and I have to ask, does anybody really like him? In the original, Nancy at least took the time to visit Rod. But here, he's thrown in jail, and in the next scene, it's the Freddy dream. What did he do? Hell, his parents don't even visit him. Nancy doesn't visit him. I mean, she found out before he went to jail that her dreams are linked via Freddy. Even after his death, nobody seems to be upset by it. When Rod died, people at least cared and grieved. He had a funeral and everything. When Jesse died, it's never brought up again. We just cut back to the dream couple of 2010 doing research. I could bring up Nancy's mom, but there isn't much to say, since both variants have similar roles to play, which is to be a lore book about Freddy Krueger, or Fred Krueger, as he's called in the original.
It even has his name written in it. Fred Krueger, Mom. Fred Krueger.
The remake version of her isn't a chronic alcoholic, so I guess that's a plus. There's a kid in the remake that documents his encounters with Freddy. In his last video, he ends up falling asleep and then crashes into the camera, presumably dying, and it cuts to static. That's not how webcams work. It would have been more like this. My guess is that Freddy took the footage, threw it into Windows Movie Maker, and added the static effect just to fuck with people.
There's also this kid named Dean who gets got by Freddy after falling asleep at the diner in the opening.
That's all I can really cover with the proper character, so I'll transition to, In the original, Freddy Krueger's backstory is kept as vague as possible. The broad strokes are, he was a serial killer that went after kids primarily. He managed to get off scot-free, but the parents tracked him down to his old boiler room, lit the place on fire, and killed him. Years later, he came back and we're all caught up. But wait, in Freddy's Revenge, the boiler room is a part of a power plant he worked at. In Dream Warriors, we find out his mother was a nun who had been taken advantage of by 100 maniacs in a nut house. That should be everything, as the next two use that backstory to its, I don't want to say advantage, but I don't know what else to call it. But wait, there's more! Freddy's dead had him placed him under the care of an old drunk that beat the fuck out of him. He was bullied for being Bonnie Blue's hellspawn, which doesn't make sense at all, because how would the kids know about that? He also got married and had a daughter. He killed his wife when she found out, and had his daughter taken away. When the parents came for him, he didn't just die and come back. The dream demons came in and granted him power to hunt people down. They did their Man, this sounds so familiar. Child murderer, broken family, died, came back. Nah, it's probably nothing. You don't need me to tell you that Robert Englund's performance as Freddy is just truly iconic, and is the biggest reason why most slasher villains won't shut the fuck up. Jokes aside, there's a reason Freddy took off. Most slasher villains at the time, like Michael, Jason, and a few others you probably know about, give the audience the silent treatment, and were mostly stalker types. Freddy, on the other hand, got himself a big mouth, and is known for being a wise ass. Even during his proper introduction, although it's slightly eerie, he's still fucking around like a kid in the playground. Also, while this scene with Freddy's arms and him running around like a goober is slightly goofy, I think the primitivity of it is what makes it iconic. Same with the wall scene. There's a reason why people think of this all these years later. I also like how most slashers, Freddy doesn't immediately go after Nancy, and through her we're able to learn more about him, how he works, and how we'll inevitably take him out. He's simple, likable, fun, and scary for the time. Now, imagine all of that, but edgier, tone deaf, and a groomer with a parody diss track. The new Freddy, in my opinion, does have problems, but there are things I like. There are some moments with the darker tone that work with him. The actor, Jackie Earle Haley, who was in Watchmen, the movie I haven't watched, isn't terrible as Freddy. His performance is somewhat decent, and makes the poo script he's given slightly work. I also like how they made this version of Freddy look like a real burn victim, even if it makes him look a bit Asian. I like how his voice booms in the dream world. It's his domain, so it makes sense he'd audibly stand out.
Oh God. No. Just me.
I like the weird finger thing he does throughout the movie. Don't ask why, because I couldn't tell you. Now the elephant in the room. Freddy's backstory in this is that he was a gardener at the local preschool before it got shut down. That's cool, but I got something to tell you.
Do not touch Willie. Good advice.
He got along well with the kids, and by that I mean a little too well, since the kids would come home talking about a secret cave, which was a crawl space that he used to do what he did to the kids. He wasn't arrested, and was chased down to the power plant, which didn't make sense because he didn't work there. If they chased him to the school, I guess that would work, but whatever. That's how he became the Dream Demon. In the original, he just got revenge on the teens because the parents got him dead. The remake does the same thing, with the addition of Freddy lulling Nancy into a coma so he can molest her in the dream.
You can't wake up. I had to keep you awake long enough. So when you finally slept, you'd never wake up again.
The fuck, dude? Come on. Freddy is a serial killer, first and foremost. I know he was supposed to be a molester originally, but they changed it to not look like they were banking off of real cases at the time.
Originally, there was a hint of pedophilia. We had a horrible scandal in LA at this time called the McMartin case. And what really happened was a bipolar mother freaked out, went off her meds, and made up this story about her son being molested because she had been neglecting her son when she went off her meds. And she blamed the daycare center. They wound up arresting 15 grandmothers who'd been working there since the 1940s and putting them in jail for pedophilia. And this was this huge scandal while we were all shooting the movie. And Wes, obviously, downplayed any hint of that. And he made Freddy's crimes more of a symbolic nature. Child killer. It's very symbolic. Freddy kills children. What are children? Children of the future. Freddy's killing the future. Freddy's killing innocence.
But what about in Dream Child, where it says he was a child molester? Alright, first of all, why are you watching Dream Child? The movie sucks. Second of all, for all we know, it could be a tabloid, as there isn't any other article in the main series of films that calls him out for being a pedo. He also says lines from the other movies, but the writers went gung-ho with what he said, so they started referencing stuff that hasn't happened yet, like the wet dream thing.
How's this for a wet dream?
Which is from Dream Master, where a kid dreams about the beach model on his poster. And the "you're in my world" thing.
You can't hurt me. You're in my world.
It hurts, doesn't it? It's because you're in my world now, bitch.
Freddy versus Jason.
Welcome to my world, bitch.
Nancy does what What's-Her-Face did when they pulled him into the real world. The thing is, in Freddy vs. Jason, it's this big grandiose moment. It's supposed to be like the final death of Freddy. Maybe, I'm not sure. Here, it feels like it's there to be a reference. Next segment. I'll make this quick, but the remake tries to outdo what the original film does, because it's new and we got more at our fingertips. I mentioned the wall scene where Freddy peers in. All it needed was him slightly looming over Nancy in a thick layer of bed sheets. That's it. Now please tell me, what does CGI do to improve it? Nothing is the answer. It's more advanced, yet somehow it looks dumber than the man pressing his face into the sheets. There's also a callback to when Nancy sees Tina, or Chrissy, in the hallway in her body bag. Like I mentioned before, it's nothing. There's nothing here. Nancy wasn't there to find her dead. She didn't see her on the news. They never hung out. It's pointless. And I don't care if they were at the friggin' diner in the beginning of the movie. We don't get anything that tells us that they're friends. They like to hang out. There's nothing. Same with the goop stairs. They switched it to the hallway and it becomes a pool. This is also where Freddy says the wet dream thing, which doesn't correlate to this at all. This isn't a sex dream like in Dream Master. Nancy isn't getting off of this. I should also bring up Nancy's mom's death. In the original, it's quick, to the point, and you gotta process what happened through the credits. It also makes for a good scare, even if they replace Nancy's mom with a blow-up doll for the shot. The remake takes its sweet time, and Nancy's scream doesn't help either. I.e., she screams too much here, where a simple short yelp and a no followed by crying would have sufficed. They also have him say things that he said in the original, or at least put some kind of spin on it.
I'm your boyfriend now.
You can just guess what I'm gonna say. I ain't no broken record, except for this video. I'm surprised they didn't try to replicate the screw your past bit. The first Elm Street's plot isn't Shakespeare, but it just works. A group of 80s teens are targeted by a dream killer, one of them dies, and they figure out how to stop him. Simple, easy, awesome. That's the power of Home Depot. Nancy figures out halfway through that she's able to pull things from her dream into the real world, and that's how you're able to take care of Freddy. Until he comes back like 5 more times. 6 if you count New Nightmare. The remake has the same premise, only with the pedo thing I mentioned. They question whether or not Freddy was guilty. If he wasn't a pedophile and was just a child murderer, it would have worked, but he isn't. Pedophilia is a very shaky topic, especially nowadays, so please don't get all angsty on me for saying Freddy Krueger, the iconic slasher villain that kills kids, shouldn't be redone to be a groomer. I'm not a fan of it. I want some kind of escape, alright? Why bring up the idea of him being misunderstood if you're just gonna go back on it anyway? Why? What was the point? Anyways, spoilers, he's guilty, and that's enough motivation for them to stop him, which they do, but he doesn't die. Woo! Now let's get hypothetical for a moment. If the movie did get those sequels, how would they have played out? They couldn't do Freddy's Revenge. They revealed what he did for a living, which means they had to jump straight to Dream Warriors. They would have to keep the dark tone and keep the dream powers from being silly. They'd have to introduce Amanda and the 100 Maniacs, and the reason why he became a pedophile. Did he have a wife and kid? It would explain why he was good with the kids in the movie. Yeah, it's fun to dream. The movie did make the money, but the negative reception did it in, sadly. Wait, no, not sadly, rightfully so. We'll never get to see the iconic Power Glove scene remade.
Hey, you forgot the Power Glove!
The original Nightmare on Elm Street is a classic horror movie. We all know this. And Freddy Krueger will always be an icon. A diva, if you will. While the remake fails to live up to what the original does, there's at least one thing you gotta appreciate. And it's that Jackie here tried to at least make this version of Freddy work. Anyway, it's no surprise that you should just skip the remake if you wanted to watch all the Nightmare movies. If you do want to watch it, then I wish you luck on your journey. I do think Dream Child is worse. And that gave us Super Freddy.
Faster than a bastard maniac! More powerful than a loco madman! It's Super Freddy!
If you like this crappy video, then please hit that oval button next to my name, hit that bell and thumb, show your friends, and laugh at the dumbass with the microphone. Hopefully I'll be able to put out new shit soon. Don't do anything stupid, I'll be back when I can. Oh shit.